let's start off this Friendship is Magic marathon with Friendship is Magic, parts 1 and 2. Whenever I do start a new TV show, I always start from the very first episode when I can, just to see how the show starts itself off and get a good idea on its premise. Considering that I did continue to watch the show after watching this, it must have went well, right? Well, going back is a little rocky, I'd say, but let's start with the story. Twilight Sparkle is a unicorn understudied by Princess Celestia. After reading a book on Nightmare Moon, she immediately tries to warn her teacher. However, she replies by saying Twilight's been reading too much and sends Twilight to the town of Ponyville to help prepare for the Summer Sun celebration. From there, she meets the farm girl Applejack, the headstrong Rainbow Dash, the glamorous Rarity, the shy Fluttershy, and the energetic Pinkie Pie. When night rolls around and the whole town gathered to celebrate the princess raising the sun, Nightmare Moon appears claiming that she banished the poor princess to the moon and will make the night last forever. So it's up to Twilight and her new friends to venture forth to the Everfree Forest and hopefully find the elements of harmony to defeat Nightmare Moon and save the princess. It's funny how I have to talk about these episodes together. Why? These stories are so vastly different from each other. The first part starts off with a quick stroll in the field meeting our characters, which leads up to them trying to save a princess by venturing into a dark, scary forest. If that's not a dark turn, I don't know what is. The thing is, it's better to talk about these episodes together because the first episode doesn't really have much else going on besides exposition. Throughout the episode, we get the story of Nightmare Moon, the introduction of our characters, and the functions and goings-on of this world in the background. That's really it for the first episode. It's not until the end of it that we get Nightmare Moon's arrival and when the conflict starts. Does it make that a bad thing? No, not really. For newcomers, we do need the intro of these characters, and so we get an idea as to who we'll be venturing with throughout the show. To the episode's credit, we get the basic personalities of each of these characters, and we're able to place our judgments there. This could work for or against the episode, though. We'll get a good idea of them, but we could either like or hate these characters based off of their base personalities. To be honest, I didn't care for Rarity because she seemed like a generic feminine character, and Pinkie annoyed the living crap out of me. It was only when I got deeper into the show when I did start to like these characters. However, the characters are varied enough so that no two characters feel the same or a carbon copy from each other. They all have distinct personalities one can identify with and may make judgments if they will like or hate the characters. In the end, it's the viewer's choice as to whether or not they want to give this cast a chance. That's really about it for this episode. For someone coming back from Season 5 back to Season 1, it's a little odd to go back to where the main six were at their most basic. However, it was fun to check back to when the show was still new and see how far we've come from this beginning. The next episode, however, is where more of my problems lie and why I would rewatch the first episode more than this one. The plot is heavily rushed, like they tried to condense a 3-part adventure story into 2 episodes. The goal of this one is to show each of these ponies represent each of their elements, right? The way they do some of them is very unnatural. The popular example would be Applejack telling Twilight to let go without giving a reason, and that apparently counts as her being honest. Yes, because taking an extremely vague advice from a stranger is the smart thing to do. If anything, the only ones that I thought worked were Fluttershy's and Pinkie's. Fluttershy's because she demonstrated kindness for something that the main six were against, and Pinkie because her laughing at the face of danger felt genuine. Rarity's was fine, but odd. I could believe a manticore being in a dark, scary place like this, but a flamboyant, look-obsessed, talking sea serpent? That just seems a little too out there. Rainbow's is also really poor, I would argue even worse than Applejack's. Yes, Rainbow, you should trust the words of a bunch of Pegasi who claim they are from a forest that no pony lives in! The second issue is the villain Nightmare Moon herself. Her backstory is great and actually understandable. A being that got jealous that her sister got more attention and wants folks to appreciate it. It's an immature one, sure, but it's understandable. And to her credit, her design is really good, resembling the night sky and having that evening aura to her, complete with random bolts of lightning that happens whenever she laughs. Other than that, she's a pretty pathetic villain. Besides the first 2 obstacles, she only really wanted to impede the progress of the main six rather than eliminate them. The first 2 had them almost fall off a cliff and a giant feral beast come after them. After that, she made trees make funny faces, a sea monster cry, and a rainbow joined the dark side. Nothing life-threatening. Odd, considering that you tried to injure them earlier. You know, for a being who wants to ensure rule over Equestria, your way of making sure a threat doesn't interfere isn't very guaranteed. Honestly, Nightmare Moon comes across as a giant prankster more than a villain. Even the way she goes down is a bit anticlimactic. She smashes the elements, laughs at Twilight a bit, and then gets shot with the elements with a taste of Rainbow Mother. To its credit, the episode does have real bits of tension and does show that these girls are capable of what they would do and will get the job done. The ending bit does show Twilight wants to learn more about friendship and wants to be with the ones that helped her out on this journey. I feel there was a whole adventure that was originally intended for this premiere, but they had to condense the episode greatly in order to continue on with the rest of the show. And admittedly, the show isn't an adventure story and more of a slice of life comedy, which is somewhat understandable. However, you sacrifice build-up in order to get on with the show's premise. So, as a whole, how does the first two-parter hold up? Alright, I'd say. I can give leeway because this was the first episode and thus their first attempt at a two-parter. Despite its issues, I still recommend the premiere for newcomers because it's still the first episode. You will get a good idea on the premise and the characters of the show. Just know that the show does get better from here, especially if you're considering marathoning it from the beginning. For those who are impatient or rewatching the show after a long time, I'd more recommend the first episode more than the second. It's entertaining by itself and it's nice to see the characters back when the show is starting out. It's a rocky start, but the journey is only beginning for both Twilight and myself for that matter. And I think Pinky says it best.